In the initial months of 2018, a peaceful community in Michigan was catapulted into the national spotlight due to chilling accusations of severe abuse and neglect. At the heart was a 4-year-old girl, Gabby Barrett, whose heartbreaking life exposed a lengthy span of abuse and a systemic inability to safeguard the defenseless. Officials would later conclude that the surroundings in which Gabby resided were marked by continuous fear, physical violence, and emotional neglect that ultimately resulted in her premature demise. Numerous reports from neighbors, teachers, and community professionals had expressed concerns regarding the child's welfare. Unaccounted injuries, ongoing neglect, and a significant lack of essential care were noted in Gabby's trailer in Sumpter Township, leading to a more thorough examination of her living situation. Initial murmurs within the community became more vocal as worried members expressed their doubts, triggering an unyielding investigation that would reveal unsettling realities. Investigators found that Gabby's everyday existence was plagued by strict punishment and extreme abuse. Even though there were brief instances of happiness that concealed the truth of her life, the real situation involved ongoing abuse, humiliation, and abandonment. The proof was heartbreaking. A young girl compelled to rest on a plastic trash bag, a bleak reminder of her everyday humiliation. Forensic evaluations subsequently verified significant physical injuries, such as serious burns, numerous wounds, and severe dental deterioration, clear indicators of prolonged mistreatment that had been permitted to worsen. As the inquiry progressed, authorities rapidly zeroed in on two main guardians, Candice Diaz, Gabby's mother, and Brad Fields, her mother's partner. Comprehensive accounts from neighbors, teachers, and medical staff, along with physical proof, implicated both parties in fostering and perpetuating an environment of fear and disregard. The accumulating evidence provided scant basis for uncertainty regarding their involvement in the unfortunate end of Gabby Barrett. For several weeks, a group of forensic specialists, child welfare agencies, and committed law enforcement personnel worked together to assemble each bit of evidence. Each aspect, from autopsy findings and health documentation to conversations with acquaintances of the family, was carefully recorded. Detectives labored relentlessly to piece together a chronology that started with faint indications of trouble. An absent day from school here, a small injury there. As the inquiry advanced, these indicators developed into a recurring pattern of continual abuse that eventually resulted in Gabby's lethal state, identified as septic shock caused by prolonged neglect. Local law enforcement, in strong collaboration with state authorities, initiated a thorough inquiry for solutions. Their inquiry showed that initial intervention measures were insufficient, resulting in significant deficiencies in the child protection system. Even with numerous reports, the authorities could not completely break through the shroud of secrecy surrounding Gabby's everyday life. This shortcoming not only permitted the mistreatment to persist, but also revealed systemic weaknesses that would subsequently lead to major reforms. As suspicions grew stronger, Diaz and Fields tried to escape responsibility by leaving Michigan. In a bid to evade capture, they crossed state borders, sparking a fervent nationwide search. Sophisticated digital tracking techniques, such as cell phone triangulation and forensic data examination, were utilized to monitor their whereabouts. This advanced technological effort, along with collaboration between agencies across state lines, ultimately guided officials to the couple's secret location in Georgia. The successful capture of Diaz and Fields demonstrated the commitment and perseverance of law enforcement, showcasing the efforts agencies will exert to ensure that offenders face justice. The disclosures regarding Gabby's living situation created a stir within the community and echoed across the nation. Families throughout the state faced the harsh truth that this kind of abuse might take place in their own communities. Community gatherings, town halls, and public discussions were held, during which citizens sought answers and pledged to advocate for a safer system to safeguard children. These conversations ignited a wider dialogue regarding the duties of social services, law enforcement, and community members in recognizing and tackling early indicators of abuse. Simultaneously, discussions with educators, community members, and relatives offered a touching depiction of Gabby Barrett. Teachers remembered a lively, enthusiastic student whose sporadic displays of optimism masked the intense trauma she suffered in her household. Residents described a home that outwardly seemed calm and modest, but hid a terrifying secret. These personal narratives offered essential context, highlighting the dual nature of Gabby's existence. A young girl who exhibited resilience even while trapped in a setting intended to crush her spirit. As the inquiry progressed, it became evident that Gabby's situation was not a singular event, but indicative of a wider, systemic breakdown. Various agencies, including local police and federal marshals, sprang into action to guarantee that all evidence was properly tracked. This meticulous, evidence-centered methodology contributed to creating a thorough account of mistreatment, establishing a lasting documentation that would become the foundation of the upcoming trial. The legal processes that ensued were just as thorough as the investigation. In Wayne County's courtroom, prosecutors showcased a clear collection of forensic evidence, electronic messages, and witness accounts. Every aspect played a role in vividly reconstructing the abuse Gabby endured, a story that was both startling and undeniable. Digital communications between Diaz and Fields offered disturbing revelations about the daily functions of the household, strengthening the case that the abuse was intentional and methodical. Throughout the trial, the presiding judge spoke to the gathered court with thoughtful seriousness, detailing the physical and emotional suffering that Gabby endured. The judge's comments struck a chord with the public, acting as a grave reminder of the cost incurred when society neglects its most defenseless individuals. In the end, the ruling handed down was one of clear responsibility. Brad Fields was given a life sentence with no chance of parole, whereas Candice Diaz received a sentence between 30 and 60 years. These statements served as both a legal resolution and a societal announcement that such serious abuses would be unacceptable. Following the trial, the Gabby Barrett case triggered a comprehensive evaluation of child protection measures throughout Michigan and beyond. Legislators, social service organizations, and community advocates united to investigate the systemic flaws that had permitted the abuse to continue. This time of deep contemplation resulted in major reforms, such as stronger reporting systems, higher funding for child welfare initiatives, and improved training for educators and healthcare workers to recognize early indicators of abuse. A significant result was the formation of interagency task forces focused on overseeing at-risk households. These task forces, made up of law enforcement agents, social workers, and healthcare professionals, have since evolved into an essential component of the community safety net. Their collaborative actions seek to make certain that every warning sign is recognized and that intervention happens before abuse escalates to the level of irreversible tragedy. The thorough documentation of Gabby's case has similarly influenced professional training programs in a significant way. Comprehensive case files featuring autopsy findings, forensic evaluations, and witness statements have been integrated into training programs for law enforcement and social services. Analyzing this case helps future professionals understand the significance of prompt intervention, careful evidence collection, and cooperation among agencies. The insights gained from Gabby Barrett's narrative have established a standard for effective approaches to addressing severe child abuse cases, reminding us that every detail is crucial in the quest for justice. In addition to the legal and procedural alterations, the case has greatly affected public views and societal attitudes regarding child protection. Media reporting on Gabby's situation, while devoid of sensationalism, has underscored the tangible effects of systemic failures. Documentaries, investigative journalism, and community conversations have utilized the specifics of the case to promote greater empathy and careful monitoring of child welfare systems. The conversation ignited by Gabby's narrative has resulted in greater public awareness and a united demand for responsibility from those responsible for safeguarding children. As time has gone by, the impact of the Gabby Barrett case has kept on changing. Continuous evaluations by government agencies and independent monitors have established the case as an essential reference in policy debates concerning child abuse and neglect. Legislators have often referenced the case when introducing new laws aimed at reinforcing child protection services. Academic conferences and symposiums have examined the case as a topic of research, with specialists analyzing every aspect of the inquiry to pinpoint areas for enhancement in child welfare systems. Alongside these institutional changes, the case has made a lasting impact on the community itself. Local nonprofit organizations, strengthened by heightened public backing and government funding, have broadened their offerings to deliver more extensive family counseling, mental health services, and crisis intervention programs. These organizations are now collaborating more closely with schools, hospitals, and law enforcement to establish a cohesive network focused on early detection and prevention of child abuse. Community leaders have shown a renewed dedication to making sure that every child's plea for assistance is acknowledged. The personal narratives connected to the case have also continued to echo. Victims of different types of neglect and abuse have discovered comfort and inspiration in the societal acknowledgement that came after Gabby's misfortune. Advocacy organizations and support groups have leveraged the case as a rallying point to call for enhanced protection for at-risk children and increased accountability from authorities. The voices of individuals who previously experienced silence due to systemic shortcomings are now more prominent than ever, coming together in their call for a future where every child is secure and cherished. As the case remains cited in legal, academic, and public policy discussions, its influence reaches well beyond the limits of one trial. The thorough inquiry, the steadfast resolve of law enforcement, and the bravery of community members who voice their concerns have collectively created a legacy of responsibility and change. Gabby Barrett's narrative serves as a poignant reminder of the consequences of neglecting early indicators of abuse and a significant motivator for transformation, a rallying cry for those who value childhood's sanctity and the duty to safeguard it. Currently, the insights gained from this case still influence practices in child welfare and criminal justice. Agencies nationwide have assessed and updated their protocols, utilizing the lessons learned from Gabby's experience to enhance their intervention methods. The incorporation of sophisticated digital monitoring techniques, improved training for identifying subtle indicators of abuse, and the formation of swift response teams are all direct results of the significant influence of this case. Every new initiative put in place honors Gabby's memory and demonstrates a dedication to making certain that her pain was not for nothing. As they look ahead, policymakers stay alert, consistently assessing how well the reforms developed in response to this tragedy are working. Yearly evaluations and interagency conferences now feature Gabby Barrett's case as a key focus, informing future choices regarding funding, resource distribution, and legislative changes. The dialogue sparked by her situation is far from finished, as specialists and advocates continue their endeavors to bridge the shortcomings in the child protection system. Ultimately, Gabby Barrett's case is a complex story of grief, responsibility, and the unwavering quest for justice. It is a narrative that goes beyond the details of a single tragic event, tackling larger concerns of systemic dysfunction and the necessity of safeguarding the most at-risk individuals in society. Through thorough inquiry, legal responsibility, and ensuing reforms, Gabby Barrett's legacy remains a strong incentive for ongoing advancement in child welfare and protective services. Her tale, now imprinted in the history of legal and social reform, acts as a symbol of hope that even in the bleakest situations, committed individuals and communities can emerge to bring about enduring, positive transformation. And that concludes our deep dive into this fascinating case. What are your thoughts? Do you think justice was served, or does the mystery run deeper than we realize? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our next investigation into the world's most compelling stories. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious and stay safe.